The views and opinions expressed on any program are those of the producers and/or the persons appearing on the program and do not necessarily reflect the views and opinions of FRC Media, Bristol Community College, or the City of Fall River.
Spindle City Straight Talk. I'm Chip.
And I'm CJ.
And it is Monday in the River. Boy, we got a ton of stuff to talk about today.
Oh, yeah. Well, first off, I checked the pacer before I came here.
Yeah.
And no decision has been rendered as of yet whether to give a stay or to let him go. But someone sent me a message saying that Jasiel's been granted a full stay, and then he says, a late April Fool's joke. I said, yep. I was like, whatever. And then I called Patrick and let Patrick know somebody was posting it. And Patrick checked Pacer, I checked Pacer, everyone's checking Pacer, and we're all finding out that no decision's been rendered.
Yeah, they're busy getting up all the money for the bribes. No. But we said last week that we're betting on the fact that he's going to get it. Mm-hmm. So we'll see. And that was what, the news last night. I had people calling me, what's going on with Jasiel? What are you talking about? It was the weekend news. They know there's going to be a decision rendered this week, so they ran it. So we always start off with the Jays, and, and we'll see what happens. And
the sad part about it is, and I was thinking about this, an appeal can take years.
Oh, yeah.
And if the judge grants him a stay until all his appeals are exhausted, he'll never see a day in court. In jail. Never see a day in jail. Never will.
I mean, I don't know where he's getting the money unless he's
Neither do I.
Unless he's got a printing press somewhere.
Well, I said in my weekend flush, and this is a hypothesis, is he using money that he got from the marijuana vendors? Does he still have some of that money somewhere? It's possible. He was getting $250,000. Get a couple of that's $1 million if you get it from 4 people.
Yeah.
And if you didn't turn it all over to the feds, or the feds didn't get it all.
Does my memory serve me correctly? Didn't Jen Andrade talk about a safe full of money?
Yes.
That was never found.
Right.
So I think I think that your hypothesis is based on some actual there is a question out there because Jen Andrade, who's now is pleading, right? She had a plea. She said that there was a safe full of money.
Right.
And who knows, there may have been multiple safes full of money. We don't know. They could be stuffed in the mattresses and everything else. But there's a question, obviously, because look, these guys wrote a pretty decent appeal.
Yes. 211 pages.
They're not, and they get paid by not the page, but by the hour. And those pages with all the references and court precedents and things like that, they take a long time to put together. And so, look, they don't work cheap. These guys on ambulance chases, you don't see them chasing around ambulances, going to the hospitals and giving people their cards. You want to sue, you want to sue. These criminal lawyers make big money. Remember, what was Reddington's original fee with Flanagan, $100,000?
Something like that, yeah.
Yeah, so these guys don't work for nothing. And so...
And their retainers aren't small.
And look, like I said, Jasiel could go to jail ultimately and be eligible for Social Security when he gets out, because if the appellate court rules against him, they can appeal again.
Right, that's what I'm saying.
They can appeal again to the SJC.
Right. And
that could take forever, because you know how long it takes to get something in front of the SJC. Mm-hmm. And so, hey, look, Jasiel's always in the news. Who knows what happens if the appellate court rules in his favor? Then that's it. No double jeopardy.
Right. Well, and the thing is, will the appellate court rule that he's entitled to a new trial?
Or
Will they vacate all the verdicts?
that's it. See, it's not a definite.
That's right. There's no definite answers here.
Yeah, there are options. There
Right.
are options, and we know that. But look, like I said, Fall River, we've always got stuff. And I heard something today just before I left. One of our intrepid people who give us information, who's sending me
Text messages.
now. Look, it won't stop. It's got to be. I don't know who it is, but yeah, because I got my contacts wiped out, and among other things. So anybody who calls me,
His stay was denied. Has to report at 4:20. Has to report on April 22nd. That's the information I just received.
from a reliable source.
That's Patrick.
Oh, that's okay. Then we can take that to the bank.
Yep.
Okay.
His stay was denied. He has to report on 4/20. But you'll notice he got another 2 weeks
Yeah.
to report.
Yeah. Yeah, but hey, you know, I guess they figure he's been out so long, it's going to take a lot of preparation for him to work his way up to jail.
No, you know what? I mean, this is ridiculous. 17 more days out free, so he can go out to Rhode Island and party, smoke his $100 a piece cigars, and have, you know, high-end whiskey, or whatever the case may be. That's ridiculous.
Oh, absolutely. I agree. And I'm just looking up. I'm looking it up. And it's here we go. Okay, that's another. I'm looking because I changed phones and, you know, Apple just totally destroyed everything. They wiped out my calendar, wiped out my emails, wiped out my contact list, which has about 250 people on it. I actually did get most of my contacts back yesterday from the cloud, but they apparently tried to store all the rest of that stuff in the Google Cloud and didn't save it. So I just got one more call to Apple to see if they can restore that stuff, because I've got meetings and appointments scheduled all the way into December on that calendar, and I am like mega.
It's amazing how we now live
We're so dependent on these
by
things.
these little tiny devices.
And this thing will not shut up now because I can't. But
Well, it's not Patrick. I know that because I'm not getting any more messages. So I don't know who's sending all those messages
you know
to you now.
you know what happened? I sent out texts this morning about to people who like for the healthcare stuff.
Yep.
I sent them that if there's any important emails that they sent me, please resend, because my emails have been obliterated and my calendar's screwed up. So please send me any meetings. I reached out to as many people as I could. Now they're all going to call during the show.
Of course.
But leave me a text during the show. But I also heard something, as I said, from our intrepid people who give us information that we always appreciate. I guess Representative Alan Sylvia was getting a lot of complaints about rents.
Yeah.
$1,100 rents that people now, they live on $1,100 a month, and now their rent's $1,100. So now they can live on it, they can pay their rent but not eat.
Right.
You know,
Or get their drugs.
or get their drugs, or buy clothes,
Right.
or do anything. So you hate to say we told you so, but how long have we been talking about this market rate housing, these TIFs and everything else that only take care of the rich?
That's right.
And the irony of this is, you know, listen, this is why I said at the next election, we've got to clean out this council, that the people who don't think about the taxpayers just have to go. We've reached the saturation point. People in Fall River have no place to go. And the elites who tell you, you don't like it, leave. Where are you going to go? You know, where are you going to go? Nowhere, because from here, the next stop is living under a bridge, because there's no place.
Tent City over by Quikasham Rail Trail.
Yeah, Tent City. Like I said, I predicted at a meeting last week that our commuter rail after 2 years will be a encampment.
Yeah.
An encampment, because nobody's going to ride that thing for an hour and a half. But the sad part about it is these people are the most vulnerable people in a society. They're living on fixed incomes. They're living on virtually nothing. And I'm trying to recall, and I can't now, what community it was. But there's a community in Massachusetts that's talking about creating affordable housing and rent control already.
Yeah, well, you know, this is Paul's problem. Paul doesn't see the poor. All Paul sees is all his friends, the Karams, the Caderos, you know, the Macombers,
the developers,
the Kudos.
the developers.
Those are the people he sees, okay? The people who want TIFs so that they can make market rate housing. And market rate housing is destroying the city. Whether the mayor wants to believe that or not, that's what it's doing. And until the mayor starts focusing on affordable housing and affordable housing programs and having more affordable housing made. In other words, make it so that these developers can't do this anymore. Have it be affordable housing. There are companies which all they focus on is affordable housing. Did you see the story in Providence?
Yep, I did. Yep.
They took a vacated lot and they built houses on it, and it's all affordable. And they took a abandoned building and redid the whole thing, made that affordable. That's what you need. That's what you need.
But you hit it right on the head. See, he doesn't see the.
No, he doesn't.
When you listen to him speak, it's always the developers, my friends, the lawyers, my friends, the bankers, my friend this. I got to talk to all. I'm going to shut this phone off. This is driving me crazy. I'm sorry. This is just. I gotta shut this thing off. That's it. Yeah, you don't see that. They don't care about the poor. Nobody. And look, it's an irony because he's not really super rich, but he's making a pretty good salary now between his retirement and his salary. And he's always had a good job. He worked in the school department. He had a very good job as a vice principal. Got a very big salary. But it's not unique. You see Nancy Pelosi with her $15 ice cream in it. What was it? What does she have? A $30,000 refrigerator or
something like that.
Something $30,000 freezer to store her $15 a pint ice cream, and you know, the hell with the poor people. They don't exist, and that's nationwide. Rich people, you know, Gavin Newsom eating with no mask at the French Laundry, where he pays more for that dinner than some people make in a year.
Right.
And there's a total disconnect. And you know something? You can almost say, well, you can't expect Pelosi. She's been rich basically her whole life, lives in a community. But somebody who's lived in Fall River, moved to Somerset, I remind everybody, then moved back here just to carpetbag a little bit, like our mayor did, grew up in an average neighborhood. You'd think they'd remember where they came from, and that's the problem. They forget where they came from. They don't realize that the people in Fall River, there's no talk about the fact that the per capita income is still $25,000 a year. That most people in Fall, we have a very high percentage of elderly people on fixed incomes. We have a lot of people who are disabled. We have a very high percentage of low-income people in this city, and there's a total disregard for them. They've lived in tenements for their whole life. Now the rents have to go up because it's not the owner's fault. The owner's got to pay their bills. And this market rate housing just has to stop, because the other thing is that their brain doesn't work right. See, they see everything like they live in Newton, but they don't live in Newton. You're not going to gentrify Fall River. They love that thing. Oh, we're going to build all kinds of expensive housing, and all the dregs of society are going to just move away. But they're not. They got no place to go. The reality is, who's going to come to Fall River? I saw something on TV the other day talking about people moving. And you know what the first thing they said is, well, the first thing they look at in where they want to move is, educational system and crime.
Right.
Guess what? We have a failing educational system. The entire country does. And we're the #1 city in crime. So you really think that even if they have the tea, they're going to come to Fall River? No, they're not going to come to Fall River.
Unless they're looking to get murdered or raped.
You know, and this is what's disturbing, because our council is complicit. Most of the council. I'm not going to make a generalization. So keep your eyes open, people. I want to see people step up and run for office who care about the regular people in Fall River. And Alan Sylvia is now listening to this. And what has the state done? I don't see the state, and he's a retiree, a city retiree.
But he's not a city retiree living on $12,000 a year.
Exactly. But I have seen our delegation and our state reps give licenses to illegals to make sure there's all kinds of money to give away to people who don't work, yet they ignore the people who have worked 30 and 40 years and earned a pension and made the fatal mistake of living too long, and now their pension is minuscule, and the most they can get is like $360 a year.
If they're lucky.
If they're lucky. And this is outrageous. So state reps, if you're watching, and retirees, get your state reps. Let's see the state representatives come up with a base retirement for people, predicated on what it costs to actually survive in today's society. Because I will tell you, as a member of the retirement board, we're working to raise that, then give them a whole maybe $60 more a year, which will give you a gallon of gas a month. So that doesn't do anything if you're lucky. I will tell you, and these are not my numbers, they're Perax numbers. The average medium retirement in Fall River is $22,000 a year. That's before taxes and before any kind of other. So it's peanuts. You have people living on $22,000 a year, and you're giving everything free to people who never work for a living. That, to me, is criminal.
And when they got to pay $1,000 a month for rent,
Yep.
it's $12,000 a year. Right off the top, they get left $10,000 for the year.
And then they have to pay. They have to actually eat.
Exactly.
Yeah. And it's reprehensible. People don't. We are the invisible. The average people, the poor people, are invisible to rich people. And if you think the people on a city council are thinking about you when they give all the rich people tips, everything is about market rate housing. They approve every market rate housing. Nobody stepped up and said, stop the madness. So it's terrible. And now to switch gears, I guess.
Well, actually, Woodlock's denial is, and the reason for the time is Woodlock is allowing them time to ask the First Circuit Court of Appeals to consider a stay if he files a request for stay.
Oh, so he's not even. He may not go.
He may not even go.
May not even go to jail. Oh, gee, I knew there had to be a catch.
There's always a catch. There's always a catch.
Woodlock now is going to say, "Look at me, I was tough," but it was it's the appellate court that gave him the stay.
Right.
Ah, God.
This time it will be if the appellate court gives him the stay because he took away the.
Yeah. Well, after giving him 5, he figured, if I might get lynched if I give him another one, so I'll shove this over to the appellate court
and let them make the decision.
Let them make the decision, and then I can say, well, I tried to put him in jail finally, and there's nothing I can do. Hey, if the glove doesn't fit, you must acquit. That's all I got to say about this. OJ, baby. And so we see it. There's 2 standards for poor people and rich people, so.
The deadline to file for his appeal to the First Circuit Court is April 11th. So again, he's still got a week.
And believe me, that will be filed.
Of course it will.
That will be filed. And it'll be all full of tear stains when it's filed, you know, but, from crying. I don't want to go to jail. But on another note, saw some horrific stuff happening over in the Ukraine this morning. And it always, as a student of history, it always fascinates me because obviously it's justifiable that these things should be put on a world stage for people to know the horror of war and the real face of war. This isn't something on, it's not a video game. It's not Call to Duty. There are always atrocities in war. So if you're inclined to do so and learn a little bit about, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. It may be on YouTube. I'll have to check. I have it on my TV, on one of my, I don't know, Prime videos or something. But there is a documentary on the rape of Nanking, which is the Japanese when they invaded China. And in Nanking, they raped and murdered and pillaged to a degree that was not seen since Genghis Khan, probably. But, you know, that's the problem. The problem is that they always treat this stuff like it's new, and they're horrified by it. And they always love to talk about, well, let's get to the core issue. The core issue is humans, the human beings in this world. Because, as Gandhi said, a society and a person can be judged by the way they treat their weakest and most vulnerable and their animals. You know, as horrific as this is, it's not the first time. It's not even the 100th time.
Right.
This has gone on since time began. Genghis Khan did it. They've done it. They did it in Kosovo. There's ethnic cleansing that's gone throughout history. So this outrage, this horrification is not lasting because we don't learn from anything. You know, if you don't learn from history, you're doomed to repeat it. You know, our society is like the kid that put his hand on a stove and burnt it and then burnt both his hands off and now is putting his face on the stove because they haven't learned anything. You know, it is horrible what's happening here, but in the last 200 or 300 years, nobody's done a damn thing to stop war. They talk about the Geneva Convention, they're talking about war crimes, they're talking about this stuff and that stuff, and nothing, there's nothing. The world hasn't figured out that the only way to do this is just basically not have wars, because wars will always result in this kind of stuff.
It's the human condition.
It is the imperfection of humans.
Yes.
We are all imperfect beings. And some people, you know, whether they like it or not, the wokies hate to hear this, because you know how the wokies are. Little snowflakes, we're all going to hold hands and sing Kumbaya. There are evil people that inhabit this earth. There are people who will murder, kill, do anything for their own personal gain. Psychopaths, sociopaths. Problem is that it's happened forever. And regardless of the reason, whether it's religious differences or territorial aspirations, it's irrelevant. It gets down to certain people are evil.
Yeah.
And this is the problem. Every time I hear the wokies say, we got to let everybody out of jail, get rid of all the jails, it's the jail's fault. And like today, segued me into something. I had to get in. I get it in. Lori Lightfoot, the mayor of Chicago, or as I like to call her, the troll on crack. Because that's what she looks like half the time. You know how much crime there is in Chicago.
Yes.
Now there's a ton of carjackings going on, violent carjackings. She actually said that it's not the carjacker's fault. It's because they're unloved. Not that they're criminals, not that they're evil, Not that they should be punished. They're unloved. Boy, and at least now she's taking a little bit of heat. I mean, talk about total, detachment from reality. These are the people you elect, and you expect this society to get better. When you elect people who don't care about you, they care more about illegals, criminals, everybody else except the people who built this society with their sweat. They don't care about poor people. They don't care about old people. They don't care about anything. All they care about is their stock portfolios and making excuses for everybody. So everybody is not a person who will abide by laws. Everybody is not a person who is at some point has some good in them. There are people who have absolutely zero good in them. We can start naming a list. We can go back a long time, but we can start with Stalin and Hitler and
end with Jasiel Correia.
Well, I wouldn't look. I'm not. No, you're not going to. Jasiel is not a war criminal. I'm talking about heinous.
Oh, you're talking about heinous crimes,
reprehensible acts like what's going on in the Ukraine. So.
Oh, okay. That's different. Yeah.
And what's going on with market rate housing in Fall River? Now that's a heinous crime.
That's
okay.
right.
But that's my little off the track rant. So.
Well, hey, it is what it is, and it's just very interesting to see. But as we've said, you complaining to Alan Sylvia about not having enough money to pay rent is going to do nothing. It's not going to go anywhere. Alan can't do anything about it. The city can't do anything about it because it's whatever the market will bear, and that's the problem. I have a difficult time raising my tenant's rent $25 a month. I really do. It sticks in my throat.
I know.
But I can't afford the water bill, and when I've got two tenants that have 3 kids apiece and 5 people in an apartment, that's
Well,
that's one of the hazards of having big apartments.
And see, there you go. You're somebody with some compassion, and you're not evil at heart. You're not like an absentee landlord who doesn't care.
Right.
You have good tenants.
Exactly.
And
I want to keep them.
You'd like to keep them, but you have no choice. This is the problem. You're put in an untenable position because these other people who don't care. And that was the other thing I heard. I'm glad we got a very short time. That they're trying to basically, for the millennials, they're making it where they're going to never buy a house because these conglomerates and these developers are buying up all the housing.
Right.
They're buying them up and driving the price up on houses so these people can't afford houses to force them into their rental properties.
I'll give you this one. This is good because now I have an actual thing. Recently, a house in Swansea sold for $315,000. The next day, it sold for $400 and some odd thousand, and then the day after that was $420,000. And it's all developers from out of state.
Yep.
That want the property, and I firmly believe what they're going to do is they're going to level the house that's on the property currently because it's an old house, and and they're going to subdivide that land and put 2 houses on it and get $500,000 or $600,000 a piece for them.
Yep.
And that's what makes it impossible for people to buy homes.
Yep. And that the individual who was actually said that, a lot of these millennials don't really want to buy a house. They just rather rent. It's easier. That's crap. But hey, it is what it is.
Well, I'll tell you right now, if I could rent, I would, because owning a home is not an easy task.
Not anymore.
Not anymore, no. And you're the bad guy all the time. You're the evil landlord. You remember the evil landlord in the cartoons?
Snidely Whiplash.
Snidely Whiplash. That's exactly who I was thinking of. So yeah, it makes it very interesting. Well, that's all the time we have for today. I want to thank you all for watching. And remember, stay safe, stay angry, and hold your politicians accountable. Thanks for watching. We'll see you on Wednesday.